Real people, real opinions, real talk radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Classic hits.
Okay, we'll come to that anyway in a second, because I do want to ask you that question. Should there be a cut-off age for older drivers? Now, the reason I want to ask, obviously, as you've all heard the story about Prince Philip and his crash last week, the woman who broke her wrist in the car crash with Prince Philip has revealed her pain, shock and upset, and said the Duke hasn't even apologised to her. Now, I think she did get a letter, by the way, from the royal family saying, listen, we're sorry, but she didn't get a personal call from him. And I believe he was spotted only recently again after the accident, out driving with no seatbelt on again. Now, Emma Fairweather says she couldn't stop screaming as Prince Philip's Land Rover sort of crunched into her friend's Kia. Speaking for the first time, Emma told the Sunday Mirror of the terrifying moment. The 97-year-old Duke and his 4x4 Land Rover Freelander pulled out of a side road and hit them spot on. She was in the Kia with her friend, who was driving, and the friend's 9-month-old baby. And the Duke was reported to have said he had been dazzled by the sun. But Emma insists she recalls it being cloudy. So she's saying he's lying. Now, by the way, the insurance company haven't come forward yet and said actually whose fault it is. But Emma recalls we could see the Land Rover about 150 yards away at a junction. And it started to move. The speed limit was 60 miles an hour, but my friend was doing no more than 50. I kept thinking he was going to stop, but he didn't. It all went into slow motion as I watched the other car. As we approached, I could make out that it was clearly an elderly driver. My friend was braking and seemed to be in control, but I was terrified. Prince Philip was spotted, by the way, driving without a seatbelt 48 hours after the actual crash. Now, thankfully, he wasn't injured in the crash, but she was. And the debate surrounding the Duke's age has risen in the UK, with some people suggesting that Prince Philip is simply too old to be driving a car at 97 years of age. And I tend to probably agree. Now, we've kind of spoken about this in the show before, whether older people should have to take or resit their test over the age of 70. Some people would say absolutely. Other people believe it's ageist. There is no doubt about it that older people, you know, look, we're all getting older. As we get older, we get slower. I'm 55. I accept that my concentration levels may not be the same as they were when I was 25. And when you're 85, I imagine your concentration levels are probably pretty much doomed at that stage. Now, there are some fit 85-year-olds. I'm not having a go at everybody. But sure, if you're fit, you're okay, and you do the test, you'll pass it. There'll be no big deal. So I want to ask you a question. And the question is, and I know you have to go for an eyesight test once you get over the age of 65, but should you have to resit a test? But some people believe they actually should be banned from driving over the age of 70. After all, they do get a bus pass anyway, so why would they need to drive? You get a free bus pass, you can go on public transport anywhere you want. So realistically, should people over the age of 50 be banned from driving completely? According to one person, they should. Let me know what you think. If you're in favour of banning or at least a retest over the age of 70 years of age. Yeah, just text or WhatsApp the word yes. You think that's a good idea. Do it now. That's 087 188 0008. Go on to WhatsApp or go on to text and just say yes or no. Should they be banned or have to retest over the age of 70? Yes, you think it's a good idea, or no, you think it's a rotten idea. Let me know what you think. Line 1, Michael, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Michael? Oh, Mihal.
Thought to a concession far casting you. Tom miss a horse. So the Creed of Lean.
Sorry. Somebody put Michael on the screen. How dare they put Michael?
Cheek at that, especially when there's big arguments about the father's not being available for writing your name on email. There should also be a shadow available for writing your name on email.
Yeah, well, they didn't put a father on your name here, or I would have called you Mihal. I would have been respectful of you.
Thank you indeed. Now, I am 75. I have no problem with 75 coming 25 or 30.
Right.
Except in this case, I go for medicals, I go for tests. I went for 5 of them in 1 year. And after all that, I had to retest, go sigma test for the road. And the only man I believe got 3 single hundreds in different levels of driving theory tests.
But you're a professional driver.
It makes no rattling damn difference. So is the Duke. Now, I wasn't aware that he admitted liability, and I'm still not aware because I'm watching it with interest. Because first of all, to understanding him estate, which to me is private, belongs to the Crown. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And if she was on it, was she authorised to be on it? But getting away from that, he was driving it, therefore he doesn't need insurance because the principality will be worth more than £8 or £10 million, which is the basic required to have a vehicle with no insurance on it yourself. A lot of the hauliers have that.
By the way, here's a thing for you, Michael. Mihal seems you just mentioned that. So according to the law, and I didn't know this, you don't need insurance provided you have assets to the value of over 10 million. Is that right?
Something like that. It used to be
I didn't know
years
that.
ago.
Yeah.
Now, they can be checked up because years ago there was a million. There was a friend of mine who was at it. Now I do know of a serious transport company here in the country, in the south, and there's quite a number of accidents. Would hit here a couple of hundred drivers, you have to have them. And I do know they're on their own insurance because they're worth millions. Now,
Right, okay, yeah. So you probably have to lodge money into an escrow account to have it sitting there, yeah.
Well, it would have to be the equivalent of a certain amount of assets frozen in an account, which is equivalent of to meet with any potential
liability, yes.
happenings.
Yeah, okay. But getting back, he's 97, Michal. Now, you're only 75.
I'm only a baby.
I wouldn't have said that now, in fairness. But he's 97. I mean, at 97, don't tell me that he can see and concentrate as well as somebody who's 35.
Well, he doesn't wear glasses, which makes me believe that even in public, I've never seen him wear glasses. No, I'm not in love with him at the generation of them or anything like that. But the point is, I don't see him wearing glasses. His reflex may be slower. Everything else to me, like I'd be watching this myself, and I'd be watching every day of the week 1,000 times a day. I'd take a look and see, if I was 20 years younger, would I have done this or done that? I check my own reflexes, so much so it's hard to believe it. I'm sure every other body over the age of, not 50, 60 or 70, I'd say they're checking their reflexes, which they would do. But to ban people off the road for the age of 60 or 65 and deny them insurance, even though they're totally competent. Why do the people under 19, 21, 23, you go to Donegal, I just take that example. Every year the horrendous pile-ups and deaths that's up there. What age is it? 23, 25, 19... and they're beheaded, they're begutted. Why the name of God are they allowed on the road if a 97-year-old fellow should be denied the privilege of using the road when he's exceptionally competent?
But he might be exceptionally competent. I don't know. I don't know the Prince, right?
Well, I presume he is.
Yeah, well, okay, well, I don't know. But Michael, you've done your test. You've resat your test because you're a professional driver and you have to, right? But, you know, if you're not a professional driver and you're just a private driver, you don't have to reset a test, right? I mean, surely everybody should have to do it. If you pass your test, that's grand. Sure, then there's not a bother. What are you worried about? So why not just have it for everybody?
Oh, yes. Well, over a certain age, it's
70.
I know that you have to have an eye test. I think
an eye test is no big deal. Anybody who knows their own doctor will be able to get him just to fill out the form. Sure, that's great.
Oh, no. Now you go in, there's a machine put to your head and you have to be able to watch this, and it's a totally different game.
Yeah, but eye test is all well and good. But it's not necessarily just the eyesight. It's how the eyes connect to the brain.
The reflexes.
Yeah, the reflexes
will have to be checked, yeah. To me, and you can be exceptionally aware of what's on the road, but you reflex it in to that particular situation. This is what matters. And it matters in all walks of life, not the 50s or the 70s, the 25s and the 30s. Put the boat down, go like hell. And the next thing is, there's an animal crossed the road. An animal crossed the road to me when I was 23. Sorry, he didn't. He leapt down onto the bonnet. He wrote my car off for 3 weeks in hospital. I didn't see him. He leapt
but
down
Michal, how many times, Michal, have we heard of elderly people, for example, driving up the wrong side of the road on a motorway or a dual carriageway? Do you know what I mean? They go off the wrong ramp and they're on the wrong side of the motorway and they're oblivious to the fact sometimes. There was a shocking accident. A shocking accident in London recently where an elderly couple pulling a caravan drove for 15 to 20 minutes on the wrong side of the motorway, eventually a head-on collision, killed the poor person they were with and killed themselves as well. I mean, you know what I mean?
Saw that. Yeah, I would blame the people who saw it on the road and passed it out and I'd have blocked it. But the point is, quite recently we had a minister from a particular party driving the wrong side of the road below and coming out of Naas. And prior to that, about one previous to that, and I'd love to know what happened, I was witnesses to a car coming like the lantern Moses on the wrong side of the motorway, heading for Naas, heading for Dublin from Naas, on the wrong side of the road. I do know it was involved in a horrific crash around that cool. I had a pain to be behind. I'd pulled off the road with two mobiles, ringing police stations, cause a roadblock, cause anything, get him off the road. I do know it was in a horrific crash. That's about 2 years ago. I don't know what he well got, what happened, but I saw nothing. I know it was in a crash, it was reported, but I saw nothing after that. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the occupant of the car was in his early years, again, possibly 30. Now,
I'm not suggesting that young drivers can be a little bit over-anxious, a little bit excitable. Speed is their best friend. And yes, I was there. I was a young fella too, and I used to drive too fast. There's not a lot we can do about that. We have to allow people to start driving at some point.
Yeah.
You know, but when we get to the end of our lives, lives, and we're coming close to the end of our lives, there is no doubt that somebody who's 80 years of age, many people over the age of, say, 70 or 80 years of age, are equivalent to somebody who's had maybe 5 or 6 pints of drink on them when it comes to concentration levels.
Well, I think I'm privileged to be the way I am. I mean, if I didn't come from the arse of the bog, and that's what you call healthy living, your rabbits and pheasants or duck or whatever you caught. But the point about it is, if it's healthy living, smog has an awful lot to do with everything in my world. But the point is that, no, the day that somebody can come along and show me some statistics, and I admire the Healy rays and a lot of what they say, some show me statistics where there's an unreasonable percentage of people over the age of 60 or 70 involved in an accident, being the cause of the accident.
Well, I think in a lot of cases they're the cause of the accident rather than being directly involved.
Well, I'd like to see the statistics.
Okay.
It's the equivalent to the statistics on the drink driving. Drink driving is the biggest problem we have. Speed is the biggest problem we have. Yet they're penalising the guy that goes off to get a pint in his local pub.
Okay, well, hang on, Michal. Somebody says, does Michal ever take a breath? No, he doesn't, actually. Stay there, Michal, for a second. Let me go to John. John, you're on Classic Hits, another man who doesn't really take a breath too much. John, when you're over 70 years of age, should you have to resit a test?
First of all, can I welcome back Helena, right?
Yeah, she's good. She looks all right. She doesn't look unwell anymore.
I am most impressed with her take on that you should actually contribute to the household, right? Because some of the little shites out there today, they're not giving a penny back to their mother.
Well, we'll talk about that later on anheanyway.
Anyway, back to the driving, right? You see the case there with Ant McParlin there now, he's back in TV again, right?
He is,
no, he's 54 years younger than this Prince Philip character, right? 54 years.
Yeah.
And this clown got behind the wheel with his mother inside the car.
Pissed.
And he had a head-on collision and nearly killed himself, his mother, and the occupants of the other car.
Well, he's paid the price. I mean, he got a big fine and he's banned from driving.
And rightly so, too.
Yeah, rightly so. Yeah.
But the thing is, every time you see the stats there, or if you get after the weekend there on the Monday morning, you hear about crashes or crashes over the weekend now, right? The thing is, look at the age group. And one occupant in the car, a lot of it may be fatigue, maybe drugs, maybe drink, whatever, speeding, back to Red Island, right? But I mean, how many 80-year-olds do you hear on the reports hitting ditches, hitting trees, hitting walls, overturning their cars, 70, 80 or 90-year-olds? You don't. They're all home inside in bed.
But the thing about it is, all those things, where young people are drinking too much or taking drugs, and you're right, or speeding, we do have fines for all those things. And if you're caught doing any of those things, you're in the height of trouble and you lose your licence, right? But being elderly is not something we can fine somebody for. So, I mean, well, hang on, lads. The effects of being elderly, for the majority of us, not all of us, some of us are very healthy like Michal, but for the effects of being elderly means a lack of concentration, a lack of strength. Your eyesight is probably not as good as it used to be.
Niall, there's people out there, I know people in the city, right, and they're on medication. And according to your insurance policy, if you're on certain types of medication, right, even antidepressants or whatever...
Yeah, your insurance is null and void.
You're supposed to notify your insurance company, but they're not notifying their insurance company. Therefore, they're in breach of their policy.
Yeah, but look,
right?
most elderly people are on all sorts of medication.
No,
Michal, maybe not you, but a lot of elderly people are on, water retention tablets and all sorts of carry-on.
Yeah,
they have like a little box with all their tablets for every day.
They can't be on water retention tablets because they're not allowed to drink.
Well, you see, Niall, there is a theory out there now, at the moment, and it's been kind of fed into kind of nearly week by week at this stage, that rural Ireland is under attack, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take away people in their 70s and their 80s, there's a woman actually down in Middleton here in East Cork, and she's 100 years old and she drives every day.
Yeah, fair play to her.
I give her a slap on the back.
Yeah, fair. And look, well done, to people who are still that age and are still compos mentis, etc., etc. That's great. But all I'm saying is, why not just let them do a test?
Well, the thing is, look, I mean, the physics, look, the mind the test, and talking about the medical side of it. If you're passed by, your eyesight obviously is the most important, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to see people in rural Ireland, in prison. The only way, if you're living away off of the beaten track, and your only connection to go to the shops, to go to the doctor, the post office, or whatever is your car, are we going to isolate those people just because they're...
No. Nobody's suggesting you isolate anybody, but if somebody's incapable of driving, and many elderly people are incapable of driving, they're a danger to themselves and others. And that's all I'm saying is, so they do a test.
There's a lot of young people and they're incapable as well.
Well, there is, but they've already done their test and we can't ask them to do it again. You know, until you get to a reasonable age.
This is something now which has caused a bit of a hassle probably on the text line now, right? I mean, this term professional driver, right?
The Mihal, yeah.
Yeah, you check that you check that out now in Phoenix Park in the headquarters of the Gardaí, right? And they will tell you the only one that's allowed to use that term, right, is a racing driver, because he's paid to do one thing and one thing only, to race cars. Everybody else has a license to drive a bus.
Yeah, but when you say a professional driver, be it a bus driver, truck driver, whatever it is, they are people who we assume have a bit more experience because they're doing it every day, all day.
Yeah, but the word professional is not on the licence. That only applies to a racing driver.
Well, it is, because Mihal would have a different licence to me. Yeah, Mihal can drive HGV, I assume.
Of course, yeah, but that licence is to drive lorries. But at no stage in a bus, in a lorry, or in an Arctic, right, does it say professional. That only comes with a racing driver.
Oh, by the way, Mihal.
Yes, mate.
At what age are you allowed to drive? What are you driving? A truck, is it?
I can drive an Arctic. I had a helicopter licence up to a few years ago.
Mihal, I can tell you now, I'm not getting into a helicopter with you. But
I can drive trucks, buses, anything I like, as big as I like.
But is there not a cut-off age for that? Like 70 or something?
No, well, you've said that.
An Arctic?
I was called in for a theory test, called in for eye tests, to send me to hospital price sites. I passed everything with flying colours.
So what's the law? Could you be driving an Arctic at 95?
Yeah, you could, yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yes, provide you an insurance company to cover you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought you had to cut off age at some point. Okay, well, hang on for a second. Let me just go to Padraig. Hold on. I think Padraig has a slightly different take on it. Sorry, Padraig, you're on Classic Hits. Go ahead, Padraig.
Greetings to all my listenership now.
Greetings, Padraig.
Now, my friend, I'm glad that you and Helena have recovered from your sniffles.
Right.
I was just thinking there, Jesus, what a pair of wimps. I can imagine you two in the GPO in 1916. Say to James Connolly or Vinegar Hill in 1798 saying, well, can you pass the Kleenex? Get a grip now. 39 degrees temperature? Get a grip.
39.5 actually I had, yeah.
Oh, my, that's late. That could have been fatal now.
Yeah, it could have been fatal. Could have been fatal, Padraig.
No, but only the good die young. You'll get 90. Listen, back to the ranch, Niall.
Yeah.
What we have here is a situation with a certain discrimination against people, older people. I mean, poor old Prince Philip. By the way, what about the woman that was coming the other way, Niall? Yep. She was only in her 40s.
Right, yeah, I know.
Why didn't she not take evasive action?
Well, the insurance company hasn't decided yet whose fault it is, but it does seem like he is. Well, the palace are admitting liability. Well, they have said they're sorry.
By the way, Niall, I don't know if you were okay.
He didn't personally say he's sorry, Mihal, but she did get a letter from the palace.
Yes, Niall. Here's another exclusive for you.
I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of the fact he admitted liability.
No, well, a letter was sent from the palace apologising. But sorry, Padraig, but go on anyway. You wanted to say something?
Here's another exclusive for you. The royal family do not need insurance. They are exempt because they are who they are.
Because they've made loads of money, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. But anyway, look, I think I said to you at a previous junction, whatever about the men seem to get a bad rap here. Women, especially, are lethal on the roads.
No.
I mean, if I'm driving behind a woman, Niall, if she's behind me or in front of me, especially if she's got a load of children in the back, they're easily distracted. They are lethal. And I always give them an extra foot either way, Niall, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but how? But it's not necessarily just women would have a load of kids in the back. Men have kids in the back too, you know.
Look, next time you see a 2 or 3 car pile, I can assure you it won't be because in particular. If there's a 3 car pile up, it's usually 3 out of 3, sometimes 2 out of 3.
You're breaking up there, Padraig. I think you're being infiltrated by the Women's Council of Ireland. We'll come back to Padraig in a second. Hold on, we have to take a break anyway. We'll try and get Padraig back on again with his theory about women. But so he obviously believes that men are better drivers than women. He believes women are the problem on the road. Keep texting, keep WhatsApping 087 188 0008. The question is, should those over 70 have to resit a test? According to Padraig, women should have to resit a test.
Yes, you see, now women haven't got the reflexes. I think most men in this country, husband or boyfriend, have witnessed the sad spectacle of a woman trying to park. They do not seem to get that say on a street, for instance, you reverse in instead of half of them try to drive in, and don't even mention shopping centres now. It really is a sad spectacle when it takes 5 or 6 attempts for them to park. And
well, there is, I believe, a scientific reason for that. It's to do with the way the brain functions, and women's brains function slightly differently when it comes to that kind of thing. But I know women who are good parkers. I know guys who can't park a car.
So do I now. Nosy parkers. But no. Look, it's actually, and talk about these school runs. The school runs. They really are a nuisance on the school runs now, because they might have a small child that get distracted. They're on their phone. They're looking at they're doing their lipstick. They're looking at themselves in the mirror, and they're not concentrating. And really now, like I said,
you've a very dim view of women driving cars, haven't you?
Well, I would nearly say ban them. But look, leave the old lads alone.
All right, okay, well, hang on. Leave the old lads alone and get the women off the road. Lisa, you're on Classic Hits. How you doing, Lisa?
Hiya.
Are you driving, Lisa?
I'm parked up while I'm driving because I'm a very sensible woman driver.
Yeah, do you put lipstick on while you're driving? According to Powdick, most women do.
No, he might do, but, I got that.
Lisa, a 90-year-old crashed into you.
Yes, so I work on the road, so so I spend a lot of time on the road, and I was back in my base one day, and my boss was in the car with me, and we had just nipped down the town to see something, came back, and we were at the traffic light, about to turn in to where we work, and he screamed and kind of sent you a little thump. Because as the lights changed, he went to, if you're a good driver, you look in your mirror and you take off.
Yeah.
He saw him coming from the light behind us. There was another set of lights, and he had about a 200-yard gap between them. Right. Not too far. And he saw him accelerating.
Right.
So he knew, because the car in front of us, so we couldn't get out of the way. So he was kind of bracing me for the impact.
For what was going to come up behind you, yeah.
Yeah, so he did Now, we were in a BMW with a tow hitch.
Right, so you didn't do much damage to your car. Most of the damage was done to the other one, I imagine, yeah.
The other one was fairly bad,
right.
And he got out of the car and he went to the van, and as I opened the door, I got sick. I'm diabetic, so me sugar, and I just literally threw up sort of ways.
Yeah, you got a sugar drop, yeah.
Yeah, and then and when I saw the man, I actually saw my dad. That's who, my dad is dead 7 years. And
but you saw an elderly man, yeah.
Yeah, and with a cap, as you were saying.
Man with a cap, yeah.
With a big overcoat. And my father used to drive like that, and I was saying to him, I'm sitting in the car here, pulled up, and I have a shirt on me, a work shirt, because I can't drive in. I don't drive in jackets or the car.
No, I can't do that either. You feel very restricted, don't you? Yeah.
So everything, I just get in the car and then I don't drive naked now. But definitely can't drive even a car.
That could be a sight to behold.
Yep,
all right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you go over to him and you say to him, what are you up to?
I couldn't move. My boss went over to him and he was like, I thought you were going to go. I saw I knew the lights were going to change.
Right.
And that's what he was saying, and he's like, oh, my fault, and the hands were going up, and I'm shouting back, stop admitting it. Because I was like, oh my God, my dad is driving this car behind me, and he just went, I really didn't see it, and the other chap said, how old are you? And he said, 84.
So he lied about his age.
I only saw it literally about 6 weeks later on Facebook celebrating his 90th birthday.
Right, so he lied.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the insurance company knew how old he was and all that.
Well, maybe they didn't.
But we have to know. I don't live in a big place, so we kind of know, it's living slightly outside the countryside.
Right.
And he just, so it was basically, I knew something.
So do you think his reactions were slow for his age? Yeah.
Definitely. My own father gave up his keys at 82.
See, well, let me go back to Padraig. So, Padraig, a lot of elderly people will hand up the keys of their car when they feel that they're just past driving. But some don't.
Well, it's an independence thing now, but like you say, if the brain's function, you haven't got underlying health issues, why not? And like I said, now getting back to the fair sex again, I was with my sister 2 weeks ago. We had a Mr. Bean moment. She was driving a Yaris, not a 4x4. She made 4 attempts to park it, and I said to her, "Will you give me the keys for Jesus' sake?" And there was steam coming out. She admitted then she couldn't park it. She gave me the keys, in straight away now.
Lisa, can you park? You're a professional driver, Lisa, are you?
Absolutely.
Look, I said.
Well, Lisa, will you admit that women do seem to have a problem parking?
I would say both sexes have a problem. I have brothers who, I like give me your keys, and I will park your van. I will park vans, cars. You definitely reverse.
So do you think you could park better than Padraig?
Oh, definitely.
I think there's a bit of a challenge here.
No problem. Well, has Padraig any points? Has he ever? Like, I'm 51. I'm driving till 17, and I have no points. Never had a crash because I didn't crash. I was a passenger in a car that was crashed into. I've never got a parking ticket.
Padraig, how many points have you got?
Well, she must be none at the moment now.
At the moment. At the moment.
Like I said, we should always err on this. I'll say this to all the male listenership here. Err on the side of caution. If you see a woman, especially of childbearing age with children, they're legal. Always give them a footy either way.
Give them a wide berth, so to speak.
Give them a wide berth.
Right.
But tell you, my brother-in-law taught me to drive, right? And he used to teach. He's gone, and he taught me to drive, and he taught bus drivers to drive, and he taught me when I was driving around, the Pope,
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I did my lessons with him.
Well, you drove the Pope around?
No, where the Pope came and...
Oh, right. Yeah, okay, all right. Sorry, I thought you drove the Pope around.
No.
In the Phoenix Park. Yeah, you learned to drive in the Phoenix Park. Oh, I'm at the losing Lisa there. Hang on, we'll try and get her back in a second. Well, stay there, Patrick, because Sharon wants to speak to you. Sorry, Sharon.
Oh, dear God. Well, come on. I mean, this guy needs to be taken down a peg or two. He would need to give me a wide berth when he was on the road because he probably wouldn't be able to keep up with me. There is no such thing. It's so stereotypical. There are huge amounts, and actually I've noticed it over here more than in the UK. There are huge amounts of bad driving from men and women. I always used to believe in the magnetic boobs sort of joke that, women are so close to the steering wheel because their boobs must be magnetic. Yes, traditionally there's a lot of little wimpy women that drive around and can't park. But there's a lot of little wimpy blokes like that as well, and I'm probably the opposite.
They do tend to. I've spotted a lot of women who drive, looking over the steering wheel.
That's what I mean.
What's that all about?
Boobs, as in their boobs pull them forward, so they've got to crouch over the steering wheel. I don't know, but there's a lot of blokes that do it too.
I don't see as many men doing that.
I'd make dash cams compulsory and actually really show who are the poor drivers, and it would be a huge spread. Old people, especially in rural Ireland, I think it's a very dangerous problem because there's little old duffers that drive around. Yes, I totally know it's a horrible thing that they are out in the middle of nowhere, probably on farms, and they can't get anywhere without their cars. But they drive in the middle of nowhere. They don't stop at junctions. They have no idea what an indicator is. And they literally, I know lots of older people in the farming community, and their attitude is, oh, well, I haven't killed anyone yet, so it's fine. And I
know what you mean.
Awful. It's
okay, but what is there any credibility in what Padraig is saying at all about women parking? And that's a kind of observation I've made too, Sharon, in relation to women parking.
I think there's a natural spatial awareness difference between men and women.
Absolutely. I think that's been proven. I think they've done studies on this.
Deny that. Yeah. I think probably because I probably.
But then he's right. Well, what are you giving out? Well, why are you angry with him? Because he's right. So.
Right. Okay. So the same way as we've got all these gender mix-ups of what do you call people when they're not fully bloke and fully woman.
Well, I think
there are strengths of the brain on both sides. You'll get a man that would maybe say he drives like a woman. And my dad would always say, God, he drives like an old woman. Yes, there are men's brains that are more female in their structure, and there are females' brains that are more men. I'd probably fall into that category.
Well, let's generalise. Let's be general here, Sharon.
Yes, but
generally speaking,
you can't be general.
Yeah, but you're agreeing that generally speaking, you believe there's a spatial situation or spatial awareness problem with women for parking.
For parking,
yeah,
potentially.
So you're agreeing with Padraig?
No, but I would say for actual driving, there is as many problems with male driving as there is female driving.
Okay, well that's a fair point, and let me just put that to Padraig. Padraig, now Sharon is kind of agreeing with you that, okay, when it comes to parking, generally there's a spatial situation and problem with women when parking, but when it comes to driving in itself, are men not a bit more aggressive, Padraig, when they're driving?
Well, that's in our DNA now, but the name Sharon would frighten me straight away. A stereotype that I give her I would give her an extra 2 feet now. Of a white
You wouldn't
girl.
have a chance. You wouldn't catch me, Patrick. Sorry.
Listen, Sharon. Next time you see a pile-up, just have a glance who's swapping the particulars. I can guarantee you, the women will be in the majority. God love them. They
Not
seem to be
necessarily.
distracted very easy, and they're actually a liability on the road.
Have you looked at this? Have you looked at the statistics? There is as many driving, probably
I don't need
accidents
to look
caused
at-
by
I do not-
inexperienced, aggressive drivers than there are by probably overly careful women drivers. Both drive me up the wall because I think, women that drive and poodle around are same as any old person that does the same. And lots of young men. I was driving behind a Golf GTI yesterday. I was like, dear God, why is this driving so slowly? Is it a little old man? I drove past it and it's a teenager, and I'm like, oh my God, your girlfriend must be so embarrassed to be sitting in the car when you're going along at 30. I would be. But, there are a huge breadth of difference.
But Sharon, can I say something? My personal observation.
Isn't the subject old people?
Yeah, well, it is old people, but we've kind of moved on to this at the moment. For the moment, we'll come back to old people in a second. But in relation to women, the one thing I have observed is that women, I suppose, I find, just my own personal observation, they're less courteous. I mean, if you're coming up to a junction, a man will let you out quicker than a woman will onto a main road.
100%, Niall. Yeah.
No, that's just my personal observation.
I think men don't say thank you, so if you're going to say courteous, I think you'll actually need to change the word, because if you count courteous as giving way and letting people out, that there might be. I have never really studied it, but I guarantee you that more women say thank you if you stop and let them go past or whatever than blokes do.
Sorry, Padraig, yeah, go on.
Sorry, Niall, I got to go. I'll just say, as a parting shot, I'll just say to Sharon, we've been on a slippery slope since we let you out the kitchen, baby. Okay, cheerio.
All right.
What does Padraig do?
I don't know. I think he's a builder or something. Well, hang on for a second. Let me just.
We won't get into that then.
Let's just go to Grace. Grace, you're a classic hits. How you doing, Grace?
Hi, Hart.
Good, Grace. You believe that elderly people should have maybe an accompanied driver with them?
Yeah, they should. I think they should.
Okay, so like young people who are learning to drive.
I'm a learner driver, and I have 2 kids, and I live in rural Limerick, and I can't have somebody with me every day of the week driving.
Are you on a driving permit?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
I do have people with me in my car when I'm driving, but as I'm saying, an elderly person.
So let me ask you a question then. Are you're conscious of the fact that obviously there's a huge, Clancy's Law is the new law?
Oh, it is. I think they're coming down very harsh on learner drivers, to be honest.
Right. So you don't agree with that?
I don't agree with it. And I think that ad that the RSA have up on the TV.
Oh, so we play it on the air here. Yeah, we play it on the radio here as well.
Yeah, I think it's disgraceful. That woman is suffering herself, and having to look at that ad.
You're not. By the way, don't get me wrong. My condolences once again to the Clancy family or anybody who has lost somebody in an accident. But a lot of people are saying the ad is a bit unfair. You're not the only one who said that, by the way.
I think it is a bit unfair, to be honest. That girl had to live through that all.
Yeah, it was an accident. She didn't set out to do it.
Exactly. Who goes out to say, "Oh, I'm going to go out now and I'm going to kill this person"? I'm going to go out and crash into them and I'm going to go to work, and that's my deed done for the day. Who was out thinking that?
No, but the argument was, of course, that she went out and the law was broken. She didn't have an accompanied driver with her,
Have an accompanied driver, but that's my argument. How can people have somebody in the car with them when they want to go to the shop? When they're driving?
Yeah, but if you haven't proven that you can drive, you shouldn't be allowed to be out until you've passed the proficiency test to prove that you can. It's dangerous.
Of learner drivers. First year, have somebody in the car with you. When you're experienced enough, you get maybe a different L plate or something. When you're on the road, coming up to get to your full license.
Why after a year? Why after a year haven't you got a license? Most people, it takes them a few months of decent driving to get a license. If you haven't got it after a year, then you're probably still not safe to be on the road.
I'm waiting for a call for my full license. I've applied for my full license. I'm still waiting.
You currently drive your car on your permit without having a qualified driver with you by times because you feel you have to. You've no choice.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have to. But my kids have to get to school. I have to get to work. I have to do things. If there's nobody with me, what am I going to do? Keep my kids off school?
Well, the argument is that. Well, I'm not having a go at you, but I'm just saying the argument is a lot of people say, well, that's not everybody else's problem. That's your problem.
Anyway, I'm on about the elderly people. I think I had an experience. I'm living in rural Limerick, and I had a full licensed driver with me, and straight across the red light, elderly man, didn't even look, no indicator, nothing. I could have went into the side of him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't even look. On the road, he thought he was the only car on the road. I think...
Okay, loads of people, by the way, texting about what Grace said about learner drivers and this Clancy's Law, which is the new law which prohibits you driving, by the way, if you are a permit driver and you're not a fully qualified driver, that you must have an accompanied driver with you. A lot of people, particularly from rural Ireland, saying it's completely unfair. It's a whole other topic and one that we really should get talking about, because they're saying that the advertisement that they're running, but the RSA are running at the moment, they run it on radio, by the way. It's not quite the same, obviously, on radio because you don't get the visuals to it. But that the ad in itself is unfair. Sharon, just getting back to that. Just very briefly, and I know we're talking about elderly drivers, but a lot of people saying the ad is a bit unfair, that the law is a bit unfair, particularly if you live in rural Ireland. It's not a bad shout.
Look, I mean, I'm not the right person, really, to have the opinion on this. I grew up in the UK. I did my learner driving in the UK, and nobody would even dream of getting behind the wheel without a driver, because it was illegal, and you would lose your licence and you wouldn't get a licence.
So are you telling me in the UK that when people get their learner
get
permit...
Your provisional, get provisional.
That nobody is driving nobody is driving a car?
Oh, I guarantee you, there's probably some hoodlums from the local state.
Hoodlums! I did it, Sharon. I did it.
Yes, but it's been accepted in Ireland. Everyone I know in Ireland did it. It's acceptable, and therefore it's a huge sort of shift in Ireland. Whereas I grew up, you just wouldn't dream of doing it because you wouldn't get a licence if you were caught doing that. So it's really hard, because you're looking at a new law. I'm looking at it as I can't believe
it's not a new law. The law has been around.
No, a new enforcement. Situation.
Yeah, because the law in itself has always been there. The law used to be that you couldn't drive on your first provisional licence, but on your second provisional licence, they don't call them provisional licence anymore, you could drive without a driver with you. And that was, but even at that, people did it from the first licence, and the guards never did anything about it. Never stopped anything. No, people didn't even bother putting L plates in their windows. But now, obviously, the law has been taken very seriously, not only because you can be fined, but the person who allows you to drive the car can also be fined.
Yeah, but that's sensible. I mean, can you imagine it? I mean, my main occupation is like, can you imagine if I went out and operated on something before I'd proved that I had the skills to be able to do that? You have to be able to prove that you're a safe person to be on the road, to be allowed to be on the road unsupervised. Surely that makes sense.
Okay, well, maybe there's a whole other topic in that. So,
John...
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Sorry, John. John, getting back to the original question about elderly people.
It's actually Sean, not John.
Oh, Sean. Sorry, Sean.
No worries. The original question. I'd be a firm believer that you should reassess elderly people, because as they get older, their reactions definitely slower, But I'd also agree with Patrick there about our women driving,
Oh, right.
I'd also agree with him about the whole spatial awareness thing. The women are light years behind men, in fact. But I also agree with you. No disrespect to Susan there, but she's
Sharon.
Oh, Sharon. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, but no, she seems to be rightly against the old Irish roads as well, in the system. If she wasn't too happy about it, she could head back to England for it.
If you're not happy, Sharon, you know where to go.
That's a fair comment. I'm not here to be slagging off Ireland and then living here. I think that would be incredibly rude.
We won't turn this into a political debate now, Sharon. I was just letting you know there's nobody keeping you here against your will.
I'm the same about UK drivers. I'm the same about drivers all over the place. I think old drivers should have some sort of regular testing. They should have absolutely, it should be law that they have to have a dash cam, and that can be reappraised on a yearly basis. And if people look at their dash cam and see them driving down the middle of the road and not stopping and driving, badly, then they should have their licence taken away.
How old are you, John? How old are you, John?
Oh, Sean, you mean, yeah?
Oh, Sean, sorry. Why do I keep calling you John? See, because they put John on my screen now, so...
It's okay, no, it's been called worse. It's definitely been called worse.
Well, it's like people calling me Neil. People call me Neil sometimes.
Well, I suppose as long as they don't call you too early, it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, so Sean, how old are you?
Me, I'm 27 now.
Right, okay, so did you drive, by the way, in a provisional licence?
I did, but at the time you could, so there was you didn't need a full licensed driver.
Yeah.
And, I have a full licence, obviously, at the moment,
Right, okay.
But, sure, like I said, I understand people's situation. If you need to drive on a provisional licence, you kind of have to, because if you're licensed to drive, you should be eligible to drive a car, it's kind of, You know, you shouldn't really be restricted, I wouldn't think, you know.
All right.
And I also think, like, you know, the whole full licence crack is a bit of a money racket. Like, they won't reassess elderly drivers, but, you know, they'll pass, you know, young, capable drivers and silly things such as visual fail and things like that.
Yeah.
So the system's a bit backwards, in my opinion. But like I said, they definitely should reassess elderly drivers. And maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't be against the idea of assessing women drivers, maybe annually. Who knows?
Okay, all right. Well, look, I have to take a break. You can text us or WhatsApp us if you want, and the number, as usual, is 087 188 0008.
Real people, real opinions, real talk radio. The multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Classic hits.